Welcome to Chapter 7. It is titled Knowledge of the Absolute. Now there are no questions by Arjuna in this chapter, but before we begin, let us consider the title of the chapter and what does the Absolute mean. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada explains in the first 3 lines of the introduction to the Srimad Bhagavatam the difference between God and the Absolute Truth. The conception of God and the conception of Absolute Truth are not on the same level. The Srimad Bhagavatam hits on the target of the Absolute Truth. The conception of God indicates the controller, whereas the conception of the Absolute Truth indicates the summum bonum, or the ultimate source of all energies. So the difference is that God is the supreme controller, but the Absolute Truth is a combination of the controller and all his energies. And this is what Krishna is explaining in chapter 7. In the first 6 chapters, Krishna explains about us, our eternality, and how we can work for Krishna in devotional service. But if we don't have knowledge that Krishna is the supreme controller of all his diverse material and spiritual energies, then we won't have determination to serve him. So in chapter 7, Krishna elaborates on many aspects about himself. Chapter 7 is a foundation for our faith. If we have even some small faith in what Krishna is saying in this chapter, then we can engage in devotional service. If we don't have faith that Krishna is the absolute truth, that Krishna is the Lord of everything, then our attempts to engage in devotional service will be fickle. Our attempts will not be strong. So the purpose of chapter 7 is to strengthen our knowledge that Krishna is the owner and controller of everything. This chapter consists of 30 verses, and I've divided it into just 4 segments with a total of 8 explanatory verses, so it's quite short. Segment 1, which is the beginning of chapter 7. Now, at the end of chapter 6, Krishna says, in summary, the highest yogi is the one who thinks of me. It's only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee that a person can understand the science of Krishna. The more we hear about Krishna, the more we can become fixed in devotional service of the Lord. Therefore, in chapter 7, Krishna begins to present himself, and he begins with verse 1. Now hear, O son of Pritha, Arjuna, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Segment 2. Krishna then starts to explain how he can be seen in nature, how we can see Krishna in the moon, the sky, the earth, the aroma, and so on. Actually, there are 3 chapters that explain this same knowledge. This chapter 7, as well as chapters 9 and 10. So verse 8, O son of Kunti, Arjuna, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether and ability in man. I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat in fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penances of all aesthetics. So in segment 3, Krishna begins to describe to Arjuna the various nature of the seekers who are seeking out the Supreme Lord. Those in distress, those who are inquisitive, those who are seeking material necessities, and those who are wise. And he also explains their various destinies. Verse 16. O best among the Bharatas, Arjuna, 4 kinds of pious men render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. Verse 19. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own nature. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Now in segment 4, we're going to go to the concluding verse, verse 30. And this is important because here Krishna explains why he is the supreme controller and the absolute. So verse 30, those who know me as the Supreme Lord, as the governing principle of the material manifestation, who know me as the one underlying all the demigods, and as the one sustaining all sacrifices, can, with steadfast mind, understand and know me even at the time of death. So in this verse 30, Krishna has explained that he is Adhibhuta, the owner of everything. Adidevam, the controller of everything, including the demigods. Adiyajnam, the sustainer and enjoyer of everything. So if somebody asked you, why do you say that Krishna is the supreme? Verse 30 is describing Krishna's absoluteness, his supremacy. It is the verdict and substance of this verse. So that is why it's a very important verse. Now the final lines of verse 30 mention death, and this heralds in chapter 8. So verse 5 in chapter 8 as a little sneak look ahead. And whoever at the time of death quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. So until we meet again for chapter 8, Namaste.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare